everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got a big one for you with the most absolutely massive, humongous spells in Commander. Let's jump into them. First up, we're going to start off at 12 mana with the big, the bad Blightsteel Colossus, an 11/11 golem with trample and indestructible and, infect too in there. That's the scary part right there, is the infect for 12 mana, of course. On top of that, though, if it's put in the graveyard from anywhere, reveal it and shuffle into its owner's library instead. Basically, this big baddie, you can't really reanimate it. I mean, there's certain ways around that, sure. But essentially with this one, there are plenty of ways to cheat it into play, and plenty of ways to ramp to that amount, and it's basically a one-shot massive KO. There's a reason why it's quite popular in Commander. Next up, the loved and the hated Emrakul the World anew. 12/12 Eldrazi for, 12 mana. When you cast it, though, you gain control of all creatures target player controls. Rude, just permanently. Flying protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn. Okay, I guess not permanently, right? Because when it leaves the battlefield, you sacrifice all creatures you control. Oh no! But then I gain control of some new ones, so good for me. Oh, and by the way, Madness, pay 6 colorless. Now, here's the thing again. This in Commander is one that will cost you 12 on the first cast, unless you can, get it from your command zone to your hand, essentially. There's certain ways to do that. That being said, every single time after that, most likely, if you are set up properly, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just bounce it back to my hand, discard it for free with something, and then recast it for half the price. So yeah, this does cost 12, but there's an eventual discount on it as well. Moving on, enter the Infinite. Yeah, this is an amazing card. Sorcery for 8 blue, 12 mana in total. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your library. Then put a card from your hand on top of your library, which is non-existent basically at that point. You got no max hand size until your next turn. Yeah, basically you just got, every card in your deck, but one into your hand, which is great. And you should be able to win from there. And if you can't win from there, I don't know why you're playing this card in that deck, because you assume that you should be able to win with your entire deck in your hand, or why play this card? Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing card. There's a reason why it costs 12 mana, and you better finish out the game with this one. Next up, a newer-ish card that makes the list, Excalibur Sword of Eden. At 12 mana, we've gotten equipment. Yeah, this is the most expensive equipment out there. It's got equip legendary creature for just 2 mana, so yeah, at least there's a little bit of, cost reduction there. Oh wait, speaking of that, X less to cast for X the total mana value of historic permanents you control. So yeah, although it does cost 12, it's going to cost a lot less, especially since historic permanents cost, artifacts, legendaries, sagas, all those are historic, meaning that your commander itself will reduce that cost, as well as any, mana rocks you got lying around, sagas as well if you have them. That being said, equipped creature gets +10/+10 and has vigilance. Yeah, that is a ton. That is a massive amount. That is huge. That is turning any commander basically into a 2-shot KO at the very least, maybe even a 1-shot KO. And an absolutely incredible card. Speaking of now a 1-shot KO commander with Galta, just kind of funny, the Galta holding like a little sword, it's a big sword for, humans, but, for Galta, it's just like tiny little, toothpick, just going at people. There you go. 12/12 Elder Dinosaur for 12 mana, but you're never gonna pay that, because it costs X less to cast for X the total power of creatures you control, and it's got trample. So yeah, basically, especially with decks built around this one, this is gonna cost you just 2 mana. So yeah, it's kind of funny on this episode where we talk about a lot of really expensive cards, but also we talk about some cards that, have a high mana value, but also are basically free in some ways, like Galta is, because if you play it properly, you're not going to be paying much for it. In a somewhat similar way, Hierophant Bio-Titan, a 12/12 Tyrannid for 12 mana in green. But it's got, as this will cost to cast this spell, you can move any number of counters from among creatures you control. It's going to cost 2 less to cast for each counter move this way. It's got Vigilance, Reach, and Ward 2, and it can't be blocked by tiny creatures, power 2 or less. So yeah, essentially, you can say, you know what, I've got a lot of counters in this stack. I'm just going to get rid of some of those counters. Up to basically 5 of them. And then this costs just 2 mana. Just 2 mana again for a 12/12. So again, Galta basically, but also with Vigilance, Reach, Ward 2, no trample, and can't be blocked by tiny creatures. That's quite fun for you. Icebreaker Kraken. This is a beautiful card, an 8/8 Kraken for 12 mana in blue. And it's beautiful in the snowy landscape because it costs even less. It costs 1 less cast for each snow land you control. So if you are playing a snow deck, I mean, this is basically going to be like, oh, I've got 6 snow lands in play. Okay, play it. Thank you. Yeah, being able to just have the price just basically by using snow lands. Enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't attempt when their player's next on top step. That is brutal. And also by bouncing, 3 snow lands back to your hand, you can bounce back to your hand. So there you go. You just keep doing that again and again and again, locking someone down. Or in any kind of a blink strategy, if you can just keep doing that again and again and again, you can just shut someone down and say, you know what? You don't get to ever untap your artifacts or creatures ever again. Fun. Let's go to an older one, though, with the Name as 1, an 8/8 Spirit for 12 mana. Yeah, this is quite the expensive commander end card in a Spirit deck, but yeah, it's quite fun for the right deck out there. When it comes into play, if you played it from your hand, you may search away for a Spirit card, put it into play, then shuffle. Okay, for 12 mana, you get to tutor out any Spirit. Cool, good for me. That being said, when it's put in a grave from play, you remove it from the game. If you do, return target Spirit card from your graveyard to play. So, it's basically an 8/8 that can cheat something into play and also reanimate one thing. So, that is quite a lot of mana. You can build some really wonky, amazing decks around this one, though, and it can be quite fun. Speaking of fun, just kidding, this card is absolutely obnoxious. It That Betrays, an 11/11 Eldrazi for 12 mana in total. Annihilator 2. When it attacks, the defending player sacrifices 2 permanents. Yeah, that's brutal. On top of that, of course, whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card on the battlefield under your control. Yeah, you lose things, I gain things. Good for me, bad for you. Yeah, this is absolutely brutal, absolutely disgusting, absolutely insane, and yet they made Turgid a commander version of it that is so much cheaper and more broken. Gross. Next up in the line of Ghalta-esque creatures, we've got Lumbering Mega Sloth, an 8/8 Sloth Mutant for 12 mana. Yeah, that's a lot. That being said, costs 1 less cast for each counter among players and permanents. And it's got Trample, enters battlefield tapped. Oh, it's super slow. That's okay. Again, literally, each counter among players and permanents, that can be, very early on in the game, depending on what decks you're playing against, essentially. Certain decks out there getting counters out super quickly. So all of a sudden, this can just cost 2 mana on like turn 3 or 4, and you're like, oh, cool. I get an 8/8 Trampler. Okay, it's slow, but still. Yeah, it can be quite fun for those big mana decks, for those big power decks. It can be quite fun, and it's a cute Slav. Yeah, Wizards kind of went crazy with like the, Ghalta mana value of 10 green, and then, it costs less. There you go. 10/10 Beast, Nyxborn Behemoth. Costs X less cast for X the total mana value of non-creature enchantments you control. It's got Trample. By paying 1 green, sacrifice other enchantment, it gains indestructible until end of turn. So this can protect itself. It also can come out really, again, early for the right deck out there. Can be a good finisher for those types of decks out there again. Enchantment, Enchantress strategy decks, essentially, that aren't just heavily on enchant creatures. Yeah, it can be quite the good deck. Moving on, when it comes to cards that are at these higher mana values, again, 12 plus, typically, we do see mostly creatures for the most part, it seems like, right? Or at least permanents. Rise the Eldrazi says, you know what? No, I'm a sorcery. You don't get any cost reduction for me, and I cost 12 mana. 9 colorless. It can't be countered. Yeah, better not be able to be countered after spending all that for this. Destroy target permanent. Target player draws 4 cards. Take an extra turn for this one. Exile it. Yeah, extra turn right there in Colossal is pretty bonkers. And also getting 4 cards. I assume that's going to be you drawing it, right? You get to pick, but it's going to be you. And also destroying a permanent. Yeah, it's quite nice, quite big. A huge spell for Colossal decks. And again, at a huge value, it's well worth it. Next up, cost reduction in a different way with Scion of Draco, a 4/4 dragon for 12 mana. Cost 2 less gas for each basic land among lands you control. So yeah, it could cost basically down to 2 mana essentially if you've got all 5 flying. Each creature you control has Vigilance if it's white, Hexproof if it's blue, Lifelink if it's black, First Strike if it's red, and Trample if it's green. Yeah, that's quite nice. So basically, in a 5-color strategy, you can just have a lot of different keywords flying around here, there, and everywhere. Really hard for your opponents to keep track of. But yeah, Hexproof is absolutely brutal. Being able to just protect all your things, that is absolutely massive. All the other things are quite great as well. But yeah, this in a dragon deck, this in a 5-color deck, it is something that you have to if you're an opponent. keep track of and just absolutely try to demolish as soon as you can. Yeah, things kind of went crazy with the whole Galta, cost. I'm starting to realize that more and more and more on this episode. But yeah, another 2 pips right there for the Cauldron of Eternity. This spell costs 2 less cast for each creature card in your graveyard. So yeah, again, it can cost as little as 2 mana if you've got 5 creatures in your graveyard, or a creature control dies put on the bottom of its owner's library. Ouch! I mean, not being able to get it out of your graveyard anymore, that can obviously be a downside, but also for certain decks out there, an upside to playing off the bottom of their libraries. That being said, pay 2 and a black, tap, pay 2 life. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, only anytime you cast a sorcery, so yeah, a very cheap reanimation effect that is repeatable. But again, you're not able to get creatures into your graveyard in the normal way from, the battlefield. That being said, you can discard them, you can tutor them, you can do all these other things, mill them. But yeah, being able to just cheaply reanimate things, that can be quite spicy. Storm in mono green with Thrasta Tempest Roar, a 7/7 dinosaur for again, Galta mana value, 10 green, costs 3 less to cast for each other spell cast this turn. That can be quite a lot. Trample and haste, trample over planeswalkers, which is quite funny. Has hexproof as long as it enters the battlefield this turn. So swing very quickly like the All-American Rejects. And all of a sudden with this one, cast all of those spells, and then you're getting this out quite cheaply. Keep in mind, it does count your opponent's spells cast as well. It doesn't say, each other spell cast by you this turn. So if your opponents are, countering your things or whatnot, or just playing instants on your turn, take advantage of that too. Or if you got, Vidalcan Orrery, you can, flash this in on an opponent's turn as well. That could be quite good too. Yeah, it's definitely one that is quite spicy. Next up, Volcanic Salvo, a sorcery for, again, Galta mana value, 10, pip, red right there. The spell costs X less to cast for X the total power of creatures you control. Costs, just basically 2 mana, which is quite nice. Again, if you've got all that power out there, again, you do in Galta. That being said, 6 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. So yeah, again, when it comes to the big, massive, kind of huge, spicy things, this one is somewhat lackluster compared to the other ones, though again, being able to actually go, okay, you know what, take out some things, do some big things with a big spell. There are certain decks out that just care about having big mana value spells and getting benefits off of that too. Check it out. Next up, though, at 13, and the only card at 13. Yeah, we had all of those 12s, a ton of 12s that we just went over, but at 13 mana value, we've only got one, and that's Emrakul the Promised End, a 13/13 Eldrazi. For again, 13. It costs 1 less cast those for each card type on cards in your graveyard. When you cast a spell, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, they take an extra for this one. Flying Trample, protection from instants. Yeah, this one is very, very, very hard to deal with. Also, you can truly wreck a player's game with this just by taking their turn. Yeah, they get an extra turn for that one, but you're all right, I just ruined your entire board, did all the things against you, went up against your ally and just decimated them too. So yeah, you can just wreck multiple players with this, on top of it being, a one-shot KO with double strike too. And being hard to deal with, again, protection from instants. Yeah, it is one that can cost a lot less than 13 once you get things going. Pretty gross, pretty disgusting, pretty amazing. Moving on to 14 mana, though, and actually, again, the only one at 14, which is kind of interesting. Again, we had all these at 12, which seems like the hard cap of, all right, we don't go over 12, except, this one time. Blinkmoth Infusion, though, a very old card, and one that, again, is at 14, the only one at 14, instant for 14 mana in blue. Affinity for artifacts, untap all artifacts. Very simple, very effective. Keep in mind, this does untap your opponent's artifacts as well. Do keep that in mind. That being said, being able to just do so for just, again, 2 mana, untap all your artifacts can be incredibly good, incredibly broken in certain ways. And yes, if you are playing an artifact strategy, you probably have a lot of artifacts in play. This is never going to cost you 14 mana, but yeah, it is a massive mana value for a massive effect. Moving on to 15 mana, though, we've got Autochthon Worm. I probably said that completely wrong. 9/14 Worm for, again, 15 mana, 10 green, white. Very specific mana value. It's got Convoke, though, and it's got Trample. So, yeah, your opponents can help, just, get taken out by this just by sitting there and you going, hey, Giant Worm, yay. All right, Giant Worm coming through. Giant Worm swinging through, wiping you out, decimating you. And they're like, what in the world is that? And you're like, yeah, it's Autochthon I don't know how to say it, but it's a giant worm, and you never expected it because this is a really weird old card, right? Yeah, exactly. Your creatures can help get it out quite easily, quite effectively if you've got a go-wide strategy, and your opponents, again, will never see this coming because, again, who's heard of this card? Yeah, have fun. Moving on, Earthquake Dragon, a 10/10 elemental dragon for 14 and a green. Costs X less gas for the total mana value of dragons you control. Gross. Flying Trample Flample for 2 and a green. Sacrifice a land, return it from your graveyard back to your hand. Yeah, this is a dragon that in a dragon deck can cost a lot less because of your dragons. Yeah, basically, again, in a dragon deck, this can cost just like a single green mana for a 10/10 Flampler that you can keep getting back out of your graveyard by sacrificing lands. Can be quite effective, quite scary, quite amazing in a dragon deck. Outside dragon decks, you're probably not playing it because it doesn't, have, cost reduction. I mean, it's still like a 15 mana Flampler that you can bring back, but still, like, you need some dragons probably. Or changelings, I should say. Next up, the last one at 15, we've got Shadow of Mortality, a 7/7 avatar for 15 mana in black. If your life total is less than your starting life total, costs X less gas for X is the difference. So yeah, if you are down to, again, in Commander, like, not that low of an amount, right? Like, in Standard, this would be like, oh, you're at 7? Yeah, you're probably in big trouble, but you can play this cheap, so good for you. But in Commander, it's like, okay, you're at, 27? Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. Played for 2 mana. Whatever. It's great. Cool. Have fun. Yeah, but being able to just go 7/7 for 15 mana, yeah, certain decks out there, again, really care about just having high mana value things. You can do some pretty disgusting things with that. Yeah, this can be a really good card for those decks, and very cheap as well, just 41 cents. But of course, the big, the bad, the already kind of mentioned earlier because of the scion of, we've got Draco. Draco is a very old card, a 9/9 artifact creature dragon for 16 mana. That's right, still the most expensive card in Commander. Again, I'm saying with like cards in Magic, right? I'm not including like ones that are, in like unsets or whatever, or, ones that aren't legal in Commander. Because there might be some other ones out there. There probably are some other ones out there that are more expensive than these, but still, okay, here we go. 16 mana is an absurd amount for a 9/9 flying creature. On top of that, though, it does cost less to play for each basic land type among lands you control, so it can cost quite a bit less than that. That being said, too, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice unless you pay 10, but it's reduced by 2 for each basic land type among lands you control. So again, you can get it out. You still gotta pay for it, though, if you don't have all those basic lands. So, yeah, it is a card that is kind of derpy. Again, like, back in the day, it's like, oh my gosh, a 9/9 flyer. Wow, that's, like, the biggest thing I've ever seen. And these days, it's like,
what else does it do? It has to do, like, 10 other things for it to be good.
Yeah, I mean, the cost reduction is hilarious, is insane. It still obviously can see play in decks that really care about a high mana value, obviously, because it is the highest, it is the best, it is the biggest, and it's just so derpy and amazing that I absolutely love it. I love you, Draco! You're super cool. And all the other cards on this episode are super cool as well. If you want to pick any of them up, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. And with that, this episode is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts are on this episode, and of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.